Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everybody. Bienvenue à notre séance régulière de le 31 janvier 2022. Welcome to our regular council meeting of January 31st, 2022. Cette séance est tenue en huis clos et les membres du conseil y assistent de manière virtuelle conformément à l'arrêté ministériel numéro 2020-029. Et je suis accompagné ce soir par les conseillères Lauren Small-Pennyfather, Colleen Feeney et Elizabeth Hewlin. La conseillère Maria Torres ne peut pas assister ce soir. Aussi, nous sommes accompagnés ce soir par notre directrice générale, Maître Raphaël Destasio, notre greffier, Maître Claude Gilbert, et Mademoiselle Elizabeth Roy, notre chargée de communication. We're meeting tonight in chambers virtually, we're meeting tonight virtually because of the pandemic regulations. We're joined tonight by Councillors Lauren Small-Pennyfather, Colleen Feeney, and Elizabeth Hewlin. Councillor Maria Torres couldn't be with us tonight. As well, we have with us tonight our Director General, Maître Raphaël Destasio, our Town Clerk, Maître Claude Gilbert, and our Chargée of Communications, Miss Elizabeth Roy. So, si je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Hewlin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Si. Adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, pardon. Je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du lundi 31 janvier 2022, tel que présenté.
Merci, la conseillère Hewlin. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, Madame la conseillère Small-Pennyfather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. L'approbation des procès-verbaux, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le maire. Je propose d'approuver les processus verbaux des séances de conseil tenues aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire de 13 décembre 2021. Séance spéciale de 17 décembre 2021. Séance spéciale de 13 janvier 2022. Première séance spéciale de 20 janvier 2022 et deuxième séance spéciale de 20 janvier 2022. Merci.
Merci, la conseillère Small-Pennyfather. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
See, there's nothing under correspondence and there's no real official report of the mayor tonight. So we're going to move right on to the councilors' reports. We're starting with seat number 1, reporting on matters pertaining to public security and urban planning. And tonight, because Councillor Torres is away, Councillor Small-Pennyfather will be doing the majority of the urban planning files. So Councillor Small-Pennyfather, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, I'd like to update first on public security, and then I'll follow that by urban planning. During the holiday period, we're keeping an eye on vacant homes. As you know, we do offer that service with public security. If somebody is not able to be in their home or they're away on vacation, public security can verify your property. And there were about a dozen requests. So I believe the communique that went out in December, just before the holidays, was quite useful because we did get a bit of uptake on that. So we're very pleased with that. The first 2 weeks, as you can imagine, in January were quite quiet due to, of course, the curfew. And now that we're no longer curfew, we're starting to see a little bit more activity in that area. As well, I think as some of you may be aware, we're a huge dog community, and there have been as well some dogs that have been that were lost, and public security were able to locate the pets and their owners. They're all good outcomes for that. We had our second snow removal operation this month following the storm on the 17th. PSOs issued 9 tickets specifically for vehicles that did not respect the ordinance, and that is the orange temporary signs that you would see no parking. 4 vehicles were towed. Please keep in mind that towing fees are $153. So it is important to make sure that you respect the no parking ordinance when there's snow removal underway. As well, PSO continues to follow up with snow removal contractors, checking on licenses to ensure that, that the contractors are abiding by the bylaws. We have yet to receive updates from the SPVM, so I'm hoping to report on that at our next town council meeting in February. I want to remind citizens as well, as you know, it's something called porch pirates, where if you have packages that are delivered and nobody's there to receive them, there are often people who are walking around to see if there are people home or not to receive the parcels, and they're being stolen. So there have been some reports with regards to packages that have been stolen. There has also been some reports of some trespassing as well that's been going on in certain parts of the neighborhood, and the people have been known to public security as well as SPVM, so they have been involved as well. We also do want to take note of an important situation that went on the 11th of January, which was about precisely at 2:35 p.m. in the afternoon. There was an alarm for the Central Arena with regards to a leak that was isolated to the compressor room, and that leak involved ammonia, as you know. A main part of the building was also, there was no danger to any of the surrounding residents as well. There was a pipe leading out. One of the compressors had developed a slight leak, and that was addressed immediately by public security and all the requisite support as well. With regards to the suspicious individuals, again, those individuals were apprehended near Ainsley and Westminster, had been suspicious, looking at that they were going to break into a few vehicles, but they were apprehended before anything was done. Again, we want to remind residents with regards to the ordinance and snowfall, and to make sure that people respect the signage there as well. I just also want to reiterate what went out in the Informer recently. I actually have a copy right here in front of me of the latest Informer, and that would be the communique with regards to reconstituting the Traffic Safety Committee. Some people may be aware that there was a pedestrian that was struck crossing Westminster near Curzon. And we just want to remind everybody, we know that there's significant traffic on Westminster, as you're aware. It's quite a busy street, to please make sure when you're crossing to make eye contact with the driver and make sure somebody is stopped. We'll also get an update that I'll be able to report on in the next council meeting in February as well. So we will be looking for people who have professional expertise for the Traffic Safety Committee, so that we can come up with some solutions with regards to some of the issues that we face in the town. And you can send me an email as well towards the end of February if you're interested in volunteering, and of course if you are a resident of Montreal-West. With regards to, sorry, I've got a lot of files that I've got to open here. I apologize. With regards to PAC, I just want to remind residents that the next PAC meeting will be on February the 23rd. And that deadlines to submit completed files to PAC is 2 weeks prior. So that would require everything being sent in by February the 9th. And again, with regards to, on the same vein as committees, January, we're looking for people who have an expression of interest as well to sit on the PAC. That was also in the last edition of the Informer, looking as well towards the end of February to reconstitute some new members of that committee. Again, we want to take the opportunity to thank all of those PAC members who continue to support us in having permits for the town, and all that information can be found in the Informer, the paper copy, or the website as well, with all the information. And if you do have an expression of interest, there is as well, if you have professional expertise, that could be sent to Vlad Floria, our chair, as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lauren Small-Pennefather. Reporting from seat number 2 on matters pertaining to public works, communications, and the environment, Councillor Elizabeth Hewlin.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. For those of you tuning in now, or maybe this afternoon, or good afternoon for those of you looking at the broadcast later. So this month, Public Works undertook a double snow clearing operation with back-to-back storms, making it necessary to continue removing snow in one part of town while initiating plow and salting operations at the same time. It's no surprise that this kind of situation spreads our resources very thin. In addition, the operation was further complicated when 2 snow blowers were damaged and taken out of service for several hours when debris left on the street got mangled in the machines. So once again, I'll ask residents to please make sure when there's a heavy snow in the forecast that you remove any items from the curb or in the street in front of your home, because they're just accidents waiting to happen. Something like this happened actually in December as well. So another noteworthy task the department has tackled this winter has been the repair of 2 sizable water breaks, one of which happened in -31-degree weather. I can't tell you how much admiration I have for the guys who keep this town running, and never more so than in the dead of winter when the rest of us are snuggling in our homes and they have to be out there in these kinds of conditions. Finally, speaking of conditions that they work under, I'd like to talk a moment about how COVID has been affecting the department. During the latest Omicron wave, several employees have been affected. In fact, at one point, 25% of our workforce was absent, needing to quarantine at home. And this puts a great strain on those who are left behind in the department to manage the crews and those getting the work done. One way Public Works has avoided a department-wide outbreak has been to divide the workforce into 2 distinct teams that operate independently of one another. So if there's ever an outbreak in one team, we won't lose the whole department, which, frankly, is a concern. So far, we've got it under control, but this does remain something we worry about. We're very pleased that to date, we've been able to maintain all town services, even with some of the difficulties we've had with the pandemic. But if you see, I guess, keeping these things in mind, the conditions that they work under and how COVID has affected the department, if you see the guys driving by in a truck or doing work outside, maybe give them a wave and a hello. It would be much appreciated. I think they take their work very seriously, and it's a tough job, especially in these times. I'll switch over to the environment department now, and our environment coordinator has been busy drafting a 5-year action plan to carry out sustainable waste management policy. They've also been, or she, it's actually one individual who's our environment department. She's been working on a tree information system that provides information on all the municipal trees in Montreal-West, which is pretty fantastic. And I hope that I get to demonstrate that to residents at some point. And a waste bin repair project, allowing us to repair damaged recycle and compost bins rather than just disposing of them. If your lock comes loose on your recycle bin or your compost bin, the lid is damaged, you can now bring it in, or the Public Works will come and pick it up, and they'll just repair the piece that's missing and not have to toss out the whole bin, which is a huge waste. For citizens who want to get involved in local environmentalism, I'll be recruiting for members for the next Environmental Action Committee in the month of February. So keep an eye out for the e-bulletin and in the Informer, and I'll let you know how you can go about and do that. Finally, reporting on town communications, the department's been working primarily on website updates, the e-bulletin, and a public consultation plan for the new recreation center. So that's it for me. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, I know you've sent them in already today, but there'll be an opportunity to ask at the end of the meeting too. So be my guest and ask me any questions that have to do with my portfolio. I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Reporting on matters pertaining to finance, recreation, and the status of the age-friendly municipality. Reporting from seat number 3, Councillor Colleen Feeney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And good evening. Bonsoir, everybody. So I will start my report with the business office, the finance area. The business office has been busy at this time of year, as they always are, preparing the tax bills, doing the government reports, and closing the fiscal year. They will be preparing for the audit and the audit of the pension fund. As you are probably aware, the budget was approved at a special council meeting on January the 20th, and the tax bills were mailed out last week. The first installment is due February the 24th, and the second is due May 26th. For those who did not tune into the budget meeting or are not aware right now, the tax increase for the average value of home is 4.23%. And there's a summary of the 2022 budget on the Montreal-West website, as well as in this month's Informer. In terms of tonight's meeting, we see that tonight we have total expenditures that we will be passing of $1,257,434. As usual, I like to give you an idea where your tax dollars have gone, and there's no big surprises this month either. It tends to be the regular. At least about 45% of that, or about $560,000, was related to capital expenditures. The vast majority of that for Fenwick and Avon, with a smaller amount for the town hall roof. After that, the expenditures were dealt with the deductions at source and utilities, which amounted to about $270,000. And then there's about $250,000 in public works. And the largest expenditures there were for snow removal, not surprisingly, $56,000. For garbage, that's one of the regulars, and that means garbage, recycling, and compost. That was over $69,000. And also different road materials, and that included, in this case, asphalt and aquafalt, they call it, and also salt, and that was about $40,000. In the recreation department, the largest expenditure was on programs. We've been even looking to the summer for the day camp, etc. But also about $6,000 in refunds. So all in all, is about $20,000 in that area. And in the admin area, there's about $49,000 spent on IT. And the largest component of that was about $41,000 for our government software for our government programs, which was the annual cost of that. So those are the major expenditures this past month, making up the $1.2 million. So I'll move on now to recreation and culture. And well, as you have probably heard, there has been changes to some of the government regulations, which does affect the town. It affects our buildings and it affects our programs. The town hall still remains closed for administration purposes, but it will be open for the ballet classes for the children starting this week, as the youth programs can start in person this Monday. Today is the first day. So they will be in person as well in the community center. We will be starting our science program, or we will be having our in-person science program for the children, also starting this week. In the arena, the free skating and the family rentals are continuing, but as of today, we've been able to add minor hockey and skating for youth. So we're seeing that these programs are increasing. We are still not permitted to have indoor activities for the adults, that is the 18 and over. So we will wait for government directions on that. And once we receive the actual decree from the government, we will send out an e-bulletin to residents outlining all the new regulations. So we have a mix right now, a little hybrid, some in person, but most online still. So if we do go to some of the online, we do have some special events coming up, some in person and some online. The in-person ones will be outside, of course, and they are going to be continuation of our snowshoeing program. There will be 2 more sessions, one on Sunday, February the 13th and Sunday, February the 27th. You can register for this on Amelia. This is for residents only, and it takes place in Strathern Park. And as a special treat on the 13th of February, there will be hot chocolate for those people doing the snowshoeing and also doing the skating. Then for some of the online special events, we have on Wednesday, February the 16th at 5 p.m. on Zoom. For $5, you have to sign up on Amelia. As part of our Black History Month, we're going to have a musical performance by Dawn Tyler Watson. And she will be featuring musical selections from the Black American tradition, soul, gospel, jazz, and blues, as well as some of our favorite sing-along songs. So you can register for this, as with all the other things on Amelia. Another online production will be on Thursday, February the 24th at 5 p.m. on Zoom again. Again, it's $5. You must register on Amelia, and that will be a musical lecture by Craig Morrison talking about Louis Armstrong and his world. We are still not sure if we're going to be able to operate the March break camp as we await announcements from the government to see if this can be happening in person. It is scheduled for the week of February the 28th to March the 4th. And when we find out more, we will let you know. At the moment, registration is on hold. But if we are not able to hold indoor activities, we will have outdoor activities and online activities as well. So keep tuned on that one. Day camp programming, however, is going ahead, and you will be able to start. Montreal-West residents will be able to register online starting on February the 10th. So that's an important one. I know that often fills up. So February the 10th is important there. We have a few little contests, including a creative snowman challenge that you can do your snowman and take a picture and submit it. You have until March the 4th to do that. And we thank everybody who participated in the family holiday decorating program. And the photos of the winners are on the town's Facebook page and in the Informer. And for those of you who are artists, the artist showcase is going to be coming again. And the winter theme is beauty. So artists can submit their artwork on the website by February the 11th. Onto the arena. The outdoor rinks at Hodson Field, Strathern, Davies, and Rugby are up and running, and thanks to our extremely cold weather, they are in excellent condition. They are cleared and flooded daily, weather permitting, and residents can check the status of those rinks online. Holiday pickup hockey at the arena was well attended, with residents making good use of the free skate and the pickup hockey times. And then finally, from the recreation, students, calling all students, there will be employment in the town as there is every year. First of all, the pool and the day camp. Interested students should start applying for the summer 2022 jobs. Right now, they are posted on the website. And in fact, interviews for the pool will be starting mid-February. And interviews for summer employment for blue-collar workers in recreation will be available to apply for shortly. So keep looking at the website and you can get some information there. And finally, on the Seniors Committee, there will be 2 online seminars put out by Senior Action Quebec, and they'll be available on our website. You can check it out. February the 8th at 10 a.m., an important one called Advanced Medical Directives and Living Wills. And on March the 16th at 10 a.m., Identifying Elder Abuse. So that's my report for this evening. You're always welcome to ask me any questions this evening or certainly through email. So thank you very much. That's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. We're going to move right to our question period. So at our first question period, we will answer questions from residents that have been submitted online until 2 p.m. today on any topic. We will limit it to 2 questions per person. In the second question period, we will take questions pertaining to the agenda only, be submitted via our website during the meeting. We will limit it to 10 minutes for the online portion. Lors de notre première période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions des résidents qui avaient été soumis jusqu'à 14 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Lors de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour soumis via notre site web lors de cette réunion. Questions that are insulting, derogatory, or inflammatory will not be read nor answered. So we'll go right on to our first question. First question comes from Sandra Sherman, 52 Crestwood Avenue. Since our street was repaved, every time it rains, etc., I have a lake in front of my driveway between the sidewalk and the street. I've never had that before the street was repaired. Are you planning to come back and fix the problems? It's very difficult when it rains and freezes, etc. Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Councillor Yulin, please.
Yes, thanks very much for your question, Sandra. This will be passed along to the Public Works Department to have a look. I will tell you that it's something that they're going to have to look at in the spring when there's the snow conditions are not making it difficult to see what's actually going on there. But I will make sure that you put on the list to have that section of your driveway looked at to see if there's something they can do to fix the problem there. Thanks very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you for your question, Sandra Sherman. Next question comes from Mark Lieber, 61 Nelson. We have lived on Nelson for over 20 years. The last few years, whenever it snows, we cannot park on a street, not just for the day that the snow is cleaned out, but for the entire week of the removal operation. We assume it's because of the large volume of trucks going back and forth. But what has changed in the past few years that we are now restricted for the entire 5 to 7 days it takes? If it's a safety issue, tell the trucks to slow down. Not parking for the entire week is unacceptable. Councillor Yulin, please.
Thanks very much for your question, Mark. So you're correct to say that cars are not allowed to be parked on Nelson while the snow removal operations are ongoing. And that is because we've got trucks, very large trucks, coming and going in both directions to the snow dump, sometimes minutes apart. So it's dangerous to have people parked on that street. However, it shouldn't be 5 to 7 days. That's absolutely for sure. An average snow removal operation takes 2 to 3 days. And so that would be the amount of time that you wouldn't be able to park on the street there. The only thing I can think that might have happened, and I said it in my report just a few moments ago, was that we had back-to-back storms last week. And so we had a snow removal operation already ongoing. And then on the Wednesday, it snowed again, and we needed to have another snow removal operation following that one. So it's conceivable that this time, by quite an exception, you were not able to park on your street longer than would be average. But otherwise, 2 to 3 days is what it should take to remove the snow. So if you continue to have this problem, or there's issues about when they put out the signs and such for no parking, you can let me know and I'll pass that along. But it shouldn't be something that you have to bear on a regular basis. Thanks for your question.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your question, Mark Lieberg. Next question comes from Nicholas Curtis at 74 Easton Avenue. Good afternoon. I'm new to the neighborhood, but I've noticed that every morning and evening, my driveway and the city sidewalk are being used as a thoroughfare to get onto Easton south of Broughton. I know everyone would like to shave a couple of minutes off their commute each morning and evening, but driving on the sidewalk should not be tolerated. Can the council look into erecting offsetting metal posts to allow walking traffic on the sidewalk, but deter driving on the sidewalk? This is a real safety concern. Thank you. I'm just going to answer that question myself, Mr. Curtis. So unfortunately, I am aware of your situation. The people that own the house before you reported the same thing. We are certainly limited by certain things that we do at that intersection. We have an îlot de sécurité that allows emergency vehicles to get through, but limits other vehicles from coming across that area. Unfortunately, some people on their way to the daycares are coming through and they're cutting onto the sidewalk and they're cutting onto your driveway and they're coming around the îlot de sécurité. That is something that we've asked now our public security to take a look at again and see if there's something else we can do. Metal posts are not an option, unfortunately, because in the event of an emergency, people have to be able to get over that îlot de sécurité. And the SIM has told us that that's perfectly safe and perfectly legitimate. But by putting metal posts there, that kind of offsets that, unfortunately. So we'll have public security look at it again and see if there's something that they can do to help decrease the amount of people using your driveway to bypass the îlot de sécurité. Thank you very, very much for your question, Nicholas Curtis. Next question comes from Howard Barza at 227 Sheraton Drive. While I understand that much of our very substantial tax increase is attributable to the inequitable downloading of taxes from the Agglomeration Council, what portion, if any, is attributable to the Recreation Center mega project? Councillor Feeney, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your question, Howard. It's a good one. The Recreation Center really is part of our capital investment program. So if you saw on the budget or in the Informer, the part that's the PTI, the 3-year plan for investment, in 2022, $2 million of the 2.5 million for infrastructure is part of the recreation plan. However, that's part of our capital program. So that is not what we take into account when we're doing the taxation for residents. That's only our operating budget that we're taxed on. And eventually, if we have to go to loan bylaw for any of those things, then of course, that the amount that we pay in capital and in interest will become part of an operating budget of another year. But for this year, that is not the case. So, so this year, no, we've kept our operating budget really quite low. The increase was 2.6% for all of our operating budget, but the recreation center is part of our capital program. So in future years, yes, we will see some, but we do know that we have a grant there, and we're doing fundraising to try to limit the amount that's going to be on everybody's tax bill in the future. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much, Howard. That's it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. And just to go a little bit further, Mr. Barza, of the 4.23%, only 0.44 is local. The rest of it is all agglomeration. And I don't need to tell you, you know, the story and the history there as well. So thank you very much for your question, Howard Barza. Next question comes from Valmar Kural at 63 Courtney Drive regarding the agglomeration tax. Considering the attempts at polite negotiations with Montreal over agglomeration tax structures have not gone anywhere in our favor, is Montreal-West considering more aggressive action, such as joining any other demerged town, such as Beaconsfield, in pursuing legal action against Montreal to have a court review the issue? Thank you for your question, Mr. Corral. Beaconsfield is the only town right now that's attempting a court challenge. The court challenge that Beaconsfield is attempting, even if they do win, which from what we're told is not such an easy case to win, but even if they do win, it will not mean a single penny extra coming from the city of Montreal, or very negligible amount. It'll just mean a redistribution among the other towns, among the demerged towns, to see who's going to make up that difference. So rather than looking at any kind of a formula that just redistributes the tax bill among the towns, the Association of Suburban Municipalities is preferring a plan that actually reduces our bill or increases Montreal's portion of the bill by bringing other factors other than just property values into how the cost sharing is determined. So right now we're keeping all our options open, all the ASM's options open. But as we're standing right now, no other town is joining Beaconsfield, because it's again, that's not a path that we're willing to go down. Thank you very much for your question, Valmar Kural. Next question comes from Karen Donnelly, 195 Wolseley North. We started 2022 with a smog alert. Last week, more smog alerts for the island of Montreal. According to Environment and Climate Change Canada, burning wood for home heating is a leading cause of wintertime smog. The WHO, INSPQ, others agree. Fine particulate smog is a serious health hazard. The City of Montreal acted in 2018 to ban wood-burning home appliances, except EPA-certified ones, and even those cannot be used during smog alerts. Other island municipalities have bylaws that ban wood fireplace and wood stove during smog alerts. Why has Montreal-West not acted on this important issue? Councillor Yulin, please.
Thanks very much for your question, Karen. It's a great question. And I will say that Councillor Feeney and I were working on just such a bylaw when elections came up, and we had to set it aside as you do when a new administration is being elected. But it's something we are going to continue on with, and hope to see something in 2022, probably the latter half of 2022, in terms of a bylaw that looks particularly at wood burning in the town of Montreal-West. So thanks very much for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Yulin, and thank you for your question, Karen Donnelly. Next question comes from Domenica Puccini at 24 Ronald Drive. Last week, I witnessed a few incidents on Ronald Drive. One, a vehicle drove into the bicycle path again, and when the driver noticed, he tried to back up, even onto the sidewalk. Why is there no longer an indication of a bike path? And two, a car driving east from Rue Brock, which is one-way west, onto Ronald. Vehicles are also frequently coming south on Brock South, which is a one-way north. Ronald has become a service road due to the construction on Brock. Traffic is seriously overloaded. Please help keep our streets safer. Thank you, Domenica Puccini. Councillor Small-Pennefather, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your question, Ms. Pulcini. The first part of your question is all the required signage was in fact installed prior to the opening of the street and part of the transfer of back to MTQ. And I really appreciate you bringing this to our attention because this will allow us now to remedy this situation. And thank you for raising this with council. And the second part of your question, with regards to any transgressions with regards to road safety code, which is under the jurisdiction of the SPVM, to apply this. We will also discuss this during our traffic safety committee as well in order to be able to evaluate some of the actions we need to put in place to mitigate any inconveniences of the traffic. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Small-Pennefather, and thank you for your question, Domenica Puccini. Next question from Susan LG, 37 Brock North. It would be a great advantage to pedestrians if the sidewalks at each end of the crosswalks and the adjoining roadway at Westminster and Milner could be relayed so that we are not stepping into 6 inches of slush when crossing Westminster. Could this be done this coming year? Thank you. Councillor Yulin, please.
Thanks very much for your question, Susan. It's a good question. And in fact, we've been looking at this intersection for some time to see how we can make it work better and be safer. So we've got some engineering studies happening there, and we're going to look at the entire intersection, not just the piece of it that you're pointing out, which is a perfectly good observation with respect to there being puddles and ice perhaps at the corner. But the idea is we're going to have it looked at as a whole intersection, a system to solve the problems of the whole intersection. And when we do that, we'll look specifically at these areas too. You ask specifically if it's going to be done this coming year. I'm going to be honest to say I think that's unlikely, but we'll certainly be studying it this year and with hopes to have it fixed up sooner rather than later. But thanks very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you for your question, Susan LG. Next question comes from Peter McLean, 150 Westminster Avenue North, Apartment 3. This is a repeat question. I don't believe I got an answer or response from the last feeding. I tried to follow it, but my eye is now blind as of January 1st. Anyway, the question is by the mailbox on Nelson and Westminster on the sidewalk. When is the hole going to be repaired? And second question, is there something going to be done about bicycles on the sidewalk come spring? So for the first part, if I could ask Councillor Yulin to field the question, please. And for the second part, I'm going to ask Councillor Small-Pennefather to field it. Go ahead, Councillor Yulin.
Right. Thanks very much, Peter, for your question. I remember you did ask this before, and I think I also mentioned when I spoke about it that Councillor Feeney and I actually went by that location and looked for the section that you're speaking about and didn't see anything. However, this will be passed along to the Public Works Department to take another look to see if we can identify what it is that you're asking to be repaired on the sidewalk. It will be, if in fact there's something there that needs to be repaired, we'll make sure that it gets on the list to have it done. I'll say that it's unlikely to happen in the winter just because if it's a sidewalk repair, it's not going to be done in the winter. But if there's something to be repaired, it'll be on the list for whenever it's appropriate to be doing sidewalk repairs. So probably in the spring or fall. Thanks very much for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Yulin. Councillor Small-Pennefather.
Thank you very much for the second part of your question, Mr. McLean, as it relates to bicycle safety. As you know, that's a preoccupation for council as well. Want to make sure that everybody's sharing the sidewalks appropriately. We actually do have a plan in place for spring. We will be working on a blitz with the SPVM with regards to bicycle safety and ensuring that people are not riding their bikes on the sidewalk. As you may be aware as well, that there are fines with regards to the Quebec Penal Code that can also be applied. So we do continue to work with the SPVM to address this. And thank you for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather, and thank you for your questions, Peter McLean. La prochaine question vient de Georges Lanmafanc-Potin, 202-191 rue Brock South. Il y a un terrain vide entre le 191 Brock Sud et 255 Brock Sud, qui, selon les informations reçues, devrait recevoir un aménagement paysager. Quelle est sa vocation réelle et que prévoit la ville de Montréal-Ouest sur ce terrain? Merci et du bon conseil. Bonsoir encore, Monsieur Georges. Alors, le terrain, le terrain vacant en question est situé dans la zone MA2 et c'est privé. Comme il ne s'agit pas d'un terrain appartenant à la ville, il ne lui vient pas pour planifier son usage. Dans cette zone, par exemple, il est permis de construire des bâtiments résidentiels, unifamiliales, jusqu'à multifamiliales, jusqu'à 3 étages maximum. Et l'usage mixte est aussi également permis dans cette zone. Mais nous, comme j'ai dit, c'est un terrain privé, alors nous n'avons aucune idée qu'est-ce qui va se produire là, si et quand ça va se produire. Merci pour vos questions, M. Georges. Next question comes from Louis Chenevert. In 2019, dye tests were done in north end of town. She wants to know a bunch of follow-up questions. What areas, what percentage of the area was assessed? How many cross connections were discovered? Things along these lines. So just to give you a little bit of an update, about 95% of the area was already assessed, Louis Chenevert. We haven't finalized how many cross connections there are because there's still a percentage of the area to be assessed. And that goes hand in hand with the work that's being done also on Toad Lake and the surrounding streets. The work was to correct it was work that was mandated by the Superior Court that the City of Montreal had to stop any kind of contamination into the Little St. Pierre River. So that's the work that's being done at Toad Lake Park right now. So we don't know if there are any other cross connections. We haven't finished our work. And at that time, when we have a complete picture, then we'll have a proper assessment of what, if any, is the town's investment going to be to correct them. Thank you very much for your questions, Louis Chenevert. Question number 15, question is from Ellen Moore at 122 Percival. First, why is it that the adult library cannot find a place in the new community complex? Surely the library is a crucial part of any community. And two, the public works people do a great job of clearing streets and sidewalks. But why are we still mandating huge amounts of salt when other solutions exist? I'll ask Councillor Feeney to address the first part and Councillor Yulin to address the second question. Go ahead, Councillor Feeney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Ellen, for your question. You're right, in a prior design, we did have a library as part of the recreation project, but the particular grant, the government grant that we got for this project was for recreational facilities only, and it was not for building a library in there as well. So that is why we had to strictly stick with the recreational facilities only. And yes, the library is a crucial part of this town. And yes, we did work very diligently with the library to find them both a temporary home where they are now, and what we thought was a permanent home in the East End. Now the board has changed their mind on that, so you're right, they'll have to look for another permanent home, and we're very open to having discussions there. And I have to say, I have a nice and open communication with the library. So I think that's something you're going to have to look at in the next little while. So no answer to your question, but it'll have to be looked at. Thank you very much for your question, Ellen.
Thank you, Councillor Feeney. Councillor Yulin, if you could address the last part, please.
Sure. Thank you, Ellen, for your question. And you did send me an email today, and I answered you about that, but I'll just let you know publicly. So you're not wrong that salt is a problem, and there are some other solutions out there, and some of them we've even looked into and tested. I've taken the email you sent me with the article that you attached and have sent it along to the Public Works, and we'll have a look and see if that's particular solution that they were discussing in the article is something that is worth investigating for us. Like you, I would love it if we could find a solution to salt that worked as well, and we'll continue looking for a solution if it's out there. But as I say, so far, the things that we've tried or the towns around us have tried have not showed great promise in the kinds of conditions we have here. But that's not to say we're going to stop looking. I think we can still continue to look for alternatives, and that one in particular we'll look into as well. So thanks very much for your question, Ellen.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you for your questions, Ellen Moore. That's the end of question period. We're going to go on now to Administration and Finances, approval of disbursements for the period from December 11th 2021 to January 28th, 2022.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the list of accounts payable from December 11th, 2021 till January 28th, 2022, totaling $1,257,434.94 be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Délégation de pouvoir pour le mois de janvier 2022, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je approuvais le rapport du directeur général concernant l'exercice de pouvoir délégué en vertu du règlement numéro 2005-2002 pour la deuxième moitié du mois de décembre 2021 et le mois de janvier 2022.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir de l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. C, art, etc. And just before we go on to here, I just want you to know that we've had discussions about this, and Councillor Yulin has always abstained from any interaction with this file because she's declaring an interest in this art, etc. file. So if I could have somebody move the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Given the total number of hours being requested for rent and in keeping with the past practices, the council agrees to rent the Assembly Hall on the occasion of the Arts and Crafts Fair that will take place during the 3 days of November 2022 for a bulk discount amount of $3,052.35, taxes included, in consideration of a total of 24 hours of rental for the event, setup and cleanup, and to keep the other terms and conditions of the previous agreement in effect. And second, I move that council accepts that the deposit to secure the reservation be of $500 upon signing the agreement, followed by a payment of $1,026.18 no later than May 1st, 2022.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Small-Pennefather. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Councillor Small-Pennefather?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And please, I'd like to have it noted that Councillor Yulin did not vote on that motion at all. Now we're going to the Urban Department, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to acknowledge the receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, or PAC, on January 26, 2022, and second, to approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendation of PAC as outlined in the minutes. Project and address: 162 Percival, replacement of a basement window. 28 Banstead, replacement of 11 windows and 3 doors. 325 Brock North, replacement of the railings. Number 3, I move that we look at the conditions under the SPAIP, the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. Address 63 Ainsley. The project is replacement of 1 window by a patio door, replacement of 5 doors, and replacement of 20 windows. 70 Nelson, replacement of 16 windows, 2 doors, and window sills, extension of the backyard mudroom in the basement, and painting of the window shutters. 58 Ainsley, replacement of 35 windows, 1 patio door, and 2 regular doors. And finally, deferring the examination of the following plans to the next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendations of PAC as outlined in the minutes. 70 Nelson, construction of a porch. 325 Brock North, replacement of the front stairs and landing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We're going on to nothing in appointments, nothing in the deposit. Right now, we're going to go on to our new bylaws. L'adoption du règlement numéro 2022-002, règlement éditant une code d'éthique et de déontologie pour les élus municipaux et remplaçant le règlement 2017-009.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Attendu qu'une copie du projet de règlement a été déposée lors d'une séance précédente, lorsque l'avis de motion a été donné et mise à la disposition du public en conformité à la loi, attendu que, lors de la présente séance, l'objet et la portée de ce règlement ont été résumés, en conséquence, je propose que le règlement numéro 2022-002 intitulé « Règlement édictant un code d'éthique et de déontologie pour les élus municipaux et remplaçant le règlement numéro 2017-009 soit adopté. »
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Merci. Maintenant aussi, avis de motion et dépôt du projet de règlement amendant le règlement numéro 2020-007 portant refonte du règlement concernant le régime de retraite des salariés de la ville de Montréal-Ouest. Je donne avis de motion de la présentation à une prochaine séance de conseil d'un règlement intitulé comme je viens de le lire. Un projet de règlement est déposé au conseil et mis à la disposition du public. Ça c'est terminé là. On s'en va aux deuxième période de questions et les questions doivent se restreindre seulement sur les items qui étaient dans l'agenda, sur l'ordre du jour, excuse. Et quand je le vois en ligne, je vois aucune question a été demandée. Alors, je peux demander pour la levée de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, la conseillère Spontané-Farder. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Et c'est parfait. Alors, je vous remercie d'avoir participé avec nous ce soir. Thank you for being here this evening. We'll see each other again at the end of February. I think it's the last day of February, if I'm not mistaken, the 28th of February. So in the meantime, please keep safe. Keep vigilant. We'll try and get through this. We're making little steps to try and get back to some of our lives and some of our freedoms back, but it's all for the right reasons. So please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay vigilant. Thank you very much. Bonsoir tout le monde. Merci.